we could start by saying what words come up for us when we say Passover. So if you want to unmute yourself, and I'm going to actually stop the screen share for this bit. You just want to unmute yourself and just say what words come up for you when we say Passover.
Food and family and celebration.
Food, family, celebration.
Communal.
Communal.
Seder plate.
Seder.
Seder plate.
Seder plate. Yeah.
Haroset, wine, and afikoman.
Egypt.
Egypt. Yeah.
I'd say Moses.
Moses. Any more?
The 4 questions.
4 questions. What about the meaning of the word?
Seeking for an identity. Seeking an identity.
Okay. And what about the meaning of the word Passover?
Paschal lamb and survival, marking the doorpost.
God's sparing, God's decision, shall we say.
Yeah.
Isolated, left out. Passed over, left out.
Passed over, yeah. Okay. Right. So what I have are some of these words. The angel of death, Moses, the Pharaoh, plagues, Miriam, Egypt, matzah, and we've just added to that the lamb, God sparing, making the decision, leading out, passed over, marking the doorstep, seeking an identity, afikomen, the Seder plate, food, communal, family, and celebration. Great. So what does Pesach actually mean? Pesach actually means to pass over or to have pity and placate, which also associated with the Korban Pesach, which is the Paschal lamb. And the word Pascua, which is the Italian word and the Spanish word for Easter, actually means the same thing as Pesach. It means Pesach. So is that surprising to anyone? Has anybody ever made the connection between Pascua and Pesach? No?
Oh, yeah. Well, for those who speak Spanish, yeah.
Yeah.
My family is Christian Orthodox, and so it's called Pascha. So I always made the connection.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And in Italian, Passover is called Pasqua Ebraica, which means Jewish Easter. Ironically, because it's ironic because Pasqua comes from Pesach.
That's what a lot of Christians think. They think that Passover is Jewish Easter, and you have to explain, nope.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's more like Easter.
So
it's Passover.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the of God in Christ, we always talked about Jesus being the Paschal Lamb. So I guess I grew up kind of knowing that too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the Korban Pesach. Yeah. So the meaning of Korban, people think this means sacrifice, but it actually means to approach or draw close and go near.
Karov, okay, yeah.
To go near, karov. So I was literally just having a conversation with someone on the way home, a Jewish friend, and we were talking about the fact that in the liturgy, in the Orthodox liturgy, so many words people are very fixed on, and they think that you have to say them, but they were not designed to be a catch-all. They were designed to evoke a emotion, designed to evoke a feeling, and to replace the korban. If you think that the 3 prayers that are obligatory in Orthodox Judaism, they are at the times that the sacrifice was made at the Temple of Jerusalem. And the act of praying is supposed to draw you closer to God. When people talk about the real meaning of prayer in Judaism, it's actually to draw you close to God. It's not for God's sake. It's for our sake to draw you close, which of course, in a humanistic in a humanistic frame, we can reframe that in a humanistic way, and the act of doing tefillah, the act of praying, quote unquote, together, can draw us closer to each other, closer to our values, closer to humanity, etc., etc. So it's interesting because the prayers are at the times of day that the sacrifices were made in the temple, and then the word means to bring you close. Does that come as a surprise to anyone? If you already knew, then that's fine. But is there anyone for whom that's a surprise? Did you think that it just means sacrifice? Is there anyone for whom that's a surprise?
I didn't know the word in the first place, so.
Okay. But is it a surprise to hear that the word that is translated as sacrifice doesn't actually mean sacrifice?
It is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So Mitzrayim is the word that we use for Egypt. So I'd like people to just tell us what they see here.
Map of Egypt
Right. And
and surrounding.
yeah. And can you describe what it looks like?
Food, desert and river.
Mhm.
And
A small-
No, food to me. Food? Oh, what kind of food? I don't know. Pieces
Well,
of pasta.
So it is Egypt, but can anybody else say what it looks like?
Yeah, it's a thin, very, very thin green line.
Right.
Like you're enclosed by the desert.
Right. Yeah. And any other adjectives?
Desert, I don't know. Sand.
Where do you think people live or lived historically?
Along the river.
Along the river, yeah, where the green is.
Yeah.
And what does that area, if that's the country, how would you describe that area? If that was where people live, so effectively their country,
It's
how would you
constrained.
describe that area? Constrained? Yeah.
Constrained. Yeah.
Narrow.
Narrow, exactly, narrow. Yes. So this says
Means narrow.
Mitzrayim, which means Egypt, but it could also say from the narrow places. Mitzarim. So because there's no vowels, so if you add different vowels underneath the consonant, you read it differently. You can read it as Egypt, but you can also read it as from the narrow places. Right? Because tsar means narrow. It's the singular masculine form adjective that means narrow. Tsar. That's the two middle, well, to the right, it's the second and the third letter from the right. That means narrow. And with the last two letters, it's the plural. The tsarim means the narrow places. So interesting that Egypt is described as this because people lived and continued on whole to live in the narrow part of the country along the river. So from the narrow places. So bearing that in mind, going to have a breakout session where we will talk to each other about what meanings might narrow places have in your life or in the world around you. So I'm going to stop share. And I think I might be able to figure out how to do this myself. Breakout rooms. How many of us are there? 13. So how many can that divide us into? 3?
3.
Yeah, basically. Okay, cool. So is it clear to everyone?
Only want 3 people per.
Yeah.
4 groups.
Is it clear to everyone?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyone for whom it's not clear? No. Okay, great. Okay, so just about to sign the room.
Welcome back.
Hey.
No, thank you. My daughter keeps like popping in and out of the screen.
Okay.
I'd rather not have her recorded. Oop.
Okay. So how was that? What did you share with each other? Can I ask? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we talked about I shared about work-life balance coming into play, and then we spoke about the ongoing issues in the Middle East, I'll put it that way, and how I think it was Phyllis expressed some frustrations with her community talking about some kind of ceasefire resolution and just having conflicted feelings about that.
Hey, cool. Great. Yeah. Who was in your group?
Phyllis and Lane and Mary Reynard. Interesting, because
Right.
Reynard is ox, isn't it, in French?
Lane. Yeah. Does anybody else from your group want to expand on any of that?
I liked seeing the picture of Egypt. We don't live in the barrenness, but in Memphis, there is kind of a thing of mimicking Memphis in Egypt. So have an actual pyramid.
Oh,
Have a lot of lore and interweaving. And it's very clear from the terrain that the land next to the river that would flood is very fertile and much more productive than as you get farther and farther. So that sense of what it is, but seeing that picture where that tiny green thing really made me think a lot about where do you get your nourishment, and that in some ways it doesn't feel like the broader land is necessarily nourishing to all of us. So my thoughts.
Right. Yeah, great. And which other groups were there? David, who was in your group?
Janet and Luigi.
Right.
We spoke about how the themes of Passover appeal to us and are meaningful, but not necessarily the way it's actually done, because it can be
Right.
very lengthy and kind of boring and historically inaccurate. And that it was interesting in the Judaism Unbound podcast that someone commented that you're actually not supposed to just sit there all night and read the whole thing. Like, you're supposed to be selective and creative about it. And we should liberate ourselves from the narrowness of the Haggadah.
The narrowness of the Haggadah. I like that. Yeah. Anything else from your group about the narrowness in your life or the world around you? Was Janet and Luigi? Do either of you want to say anything?
I've talked about like being LGBT and Jewish and to be represented in some specific places, just like my university and synagogues here in Brazil, and how it's important to be connected to the story. Like, I am connected because I am Jewish, but because I am LGBT as well. And this remember us that we have like to liberate other people's, not just like our. But yeah, I think my narrow place, it's kind of my identity, and it connects to the whole story, and that's my thing.
Right, yeah. Great. Thank you, Luigi. And I believe it was Gabrielle, Laurie, and Paula and Betty Ann in one group. Is that correct? Which one of you would like to share first?
I'm nominating Laurie. But she started off with,
Well, we were talking about narrow places as being like places of constraint where you can't really be free to be yourself or who you are. And what else did people talk about? We talked about the pandemic as being a time of physical constraint, and that people experienced it differently from each other, but there always was some kind of constraint. And anything else other people want to share?
Just to add to that, I felt it was also creative. The constraint was also creative, and it produced Spinoza Havurah, for instance, and so having to take the constraints and do something with them.
Yeah, well,
so out of the constraints, you can become free people.
Yeah.
Well,
right. we spoke about the image of the closet, no, and how to live with yourself and how to deal with people who don't, who feel other constraints when you come up. So what does it mean? And we not only because of sexual orientation, identity, or what have you, gender, but also political, religious, coming out as atheist or secular also could be a thing, right? Depending on whom you're talking with. Yeah.
Right. Great. So when we think about Egypt from now on, I'd like people to keep this meaning in mind from the narrow places. When we say we came out of Egypt, we're actually saying we're coming out of the narrow places, the places that constrain us, those narrow places where you can't be free to be yourself. Also that the liberation from those constrained places, you need to bring other people with you. So in the story of the Exodus, there was the mixed multitude. It wasn't just the Israelites, the Hebrews that came out of Egypt. It was all the people that joined them, mixed multitude of people. So you can connect that to what Luigi said, actually, of like liberating others, not just yourself. So yeah, it looks like everybody kind of really got the point of that exercise. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, I was just going to say that I felt like this humanistic Judaism was a form of liberation for me because historically, when I was young, I didn't feel like I had a place for me in a way to be Jewish, in conservative and Orthodox spaces. So I really felt like I just felt so liberated when I found you guys, because I felt like, oh, there's like a way for me to connect and not feel suppressed. And I can be me. I just can't tell you how much the phrasing and the way of doing it just feels like a liberation. And I'm doing it with other people. I'm way, way, way older, but now it's been a long time, but I'm very grateful.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Moving, where are we? Okay. So this is the Seder plate, which David mentioned as one of the things he associates with Passover. And does anybody know what number 4 is?
It's
do you know the English word?
Egg.
Egg, yeah. Great. And somebody else, can you say what number 6 is?
It's herbs, probably.
Herbs?
Parsley.
Yeah. Yeah, parsley, yeah. Do you know what that is in Hebrew? Bitter herbs, yeah. Yeah, well, this one's not maror.
Karpas,
yeah. Does anyone know what number 1 is?
Shank.
Yeah, say it.
The shank.
Lamb shank. Yeah.
Lamb shank.
Lamb shank, yeah.
The lamb shank.
Do you know the Hebrew word?
No. Please tell me.
Anybody else? Does anybody else? No, it's zeroah.
Yeah.
Zeroah. Yeah. Number 3.
We can look it up. Yeah.
Like maror.
Maror. Yeah, which is what in English?
Horseradish.
Horseradish, yeah, which is another bitter herb. Yeah. And number 5?
Haroset.
And that doesn't really have an English word, but it does. Does anybody know what that might be?
Is it mortar or something like that?
It's mortar, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Great. So we have, can somebody please read for me? Yeah. And then I'll get somebody to read the next one and the next one after that. We can just share the reading.
Zeroah is shank bone or roasted beet. Korban Pesach also recalls a time when a lamb was sacrificed to ensure a healthy flock.
Right. So it doesn't only represent the sacrifice, it also recalls a time before our ancestors were monotheists, when they would sacrifice a lamb at this time of year, at spring, because Pesach is at spring. which is actually the new year on the Jewish calendar. And they would do that in order to, ensure a healthy flock.
So Betzah, egg, it represents a cycle of life.
Yeah, it also represents the sacrifice, but it has two meanings because there's two symbols of sacrifice. So for some people, this is also the cycle of life.
Maror, bitter herbs, a horseradish, which represents bitterness.
Yeah. Do you know why we have a symbol of bitterness on the Seder plate?
The bitterness of slavery.
Yeah, exactly. Bitterness of slavery. Yeah.
Karpas, green vegetable, hope and spring. Aviv.
Yeah, Hag Haviv. Yeah.
Haroset? Say louder. No? Haroset, mortar, sweet for freedom.
Yeah. And why is mortar on the Seder plate?
I don't know. Building of bricks, putting bricks together with mortar. But why is that on building a new life?
Yeah, the bricks.
Brick.
The bricks. Yeah. So the bricks of that the slaves built for the Egyptians. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
Remember this one.
Can somebody read it?
Read it.
So haseret, bitter herbs remain lettuce. Lettuce isn't harvested. When lettuce isn't harvested, its stem hardens and becomes very bitter, meaning that it starts off sweet and it ends, and its end is bitter.
Yeah. And why might that be on the Seder plate?
I suppose when they arrived to Egypt at first, they were welcome. I mean, in the legend, and then afterwards, Israelites were seen as a menace, so they started being enslaved, at least according to the tradition.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Somebody else?
Tapuz, orange, LGBT people, and feminism.
Right. And why an orange? Does anyone know why?
Wasn't it a joke?
Not the only.
I'm sorry?
According to the podcast, it was a joke.
I think it was from orange is not the only fruit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right. No. What happened was there was a rabbi that was told that a woman belongs leading prayers as much as a orange belongs on the Seder plate. Yeah. So, but that woman was lesbian, and so that became part of the reason. So she put an orange on her Seder plate, and then LGBT Jews started doing that. So thanks to a misogynist, homophobe rabbi, that it became part of the tradition. I can't read the chat myself while I'm screen sharing. Somebody want to read the comment, please?
It says this is from Luigi. Went away. I have to get it back.
He said there's another version of the story. He'll post it.
Yes, there are other stories. I think it's a bit of an urban legend. There are some urban legends around as well. Yeah. Okay. So I want us to look at these two pictures. They are both tables laid out for the Seder. And I want to just ask what the difference is between them. So have a good look at this one. And then have a good look at this one.
Here, the other one, the whole table is a Seder plate.
Yes, exactly. The whole table is the Seder. Yeah, exactly. The lettuce is laid out. We call them spring onions. I believe the parsley as well, and I think it's beet. They are beets. Yeah, and then the matzah. Can you see the matzah?
Yeah, behind the bottle.
Yes, exactly. It's homemade matzah.
Mm.
And then what's happening here?
There's a matzah cover over the matzah.
Yeah.
Very formal and structured.
Right. And there's a Seder plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is Ashkenazi.
Yeah, yes.
And this one is Sephardi.
Yes.
Yeah. but this is a Yemeni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yemeni Seder. Yeah. So Yemenites is what Temanim, are what we call Yemeni Jews. They do not have a Seder plate. The table is the Seder. There is no commandment to have a Seder plate. It's a symbol.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So to bear that in mind, as humanistic Jews, we can draw from different Jewish traditions. We don't have to do this. We don't have to do this. We could do this one. We could do this one. So when and if you want to host a Seder, or even for yourself, or just for your close friend or your family, you can do it like this, or you can do it like this. It's fine either way. Okay. So can somebody read this for me, please?
Bibilu. The leader takes the Seder plate adorned with all of the ritual items, and they begin to walk around the table, waving the Seder plate over each person's head. As the plate is being waved, the entire gathering at the Seder chants in unison, Bibilu Yatzanu, Mimitzraim, Halama, Anya, Bene, Horim. In a hurry, we left Egypt with this.
We lost you.
The Seder plate represents the protection of the Passover ritual. As the plate is literally passed over you, the calamities of the plagues, as well as the oppression of the slavery, are passed over you too.
Yeah, so this is a Sephardi tradition, predominantly from North Africa. And in some communities, in some families, I should say, as the plate is being passed over your head and they're singing, when they get to the end, if they get to the end of the sentence while they're still doing it, they might drop it on your head a little bit. So obviously some people it's light, some people it's harder, and you never know whether it's going to land rough or soft. And it's a cute moment in a Seder experience. So this is what it looks like. There you go. So that's a nice thing, that if you hadn't done that before and you hadn't thought about that, you might want to do that in the future. So now we move on to talking about the Seder itself. The Seder means order, the order of the meal. Siddur means the same thing. Siddur is the prayer book, basically, the order of the prayers. And there are traditionally 15 steps. So can I have people read them for me? Read 3 at a time? Yeah.
Kadesh, bless, Gorchatz, hand washing, Karpas, vegetable and vinegar, salt.
Right.
Yahatz, halving the matzah, Magid, story, including 4 questions, Rahatz, second hand washing.
Yeah, it's 4 questions on wine. I don't know if you said that or if it cut out, but yeah.
Motzi, blessing on bread. Matzah, blessing on matzah. Maror, bitter herb.
Korech, sandwich of matzah and maror. Shulchan orech, meal. Safun, hidden, finding and eating the afikoman.
Barech, third blessing. Hallel, exaltation. Fourth cup. Nirtza, we desire next year in Jerusalem.
Yeah. So, sorry. Does anybody know what the actual Torah commands Israelites to do at Pesach? There's only 3 things you have to do.
Tell it to your children.
Yes, you have to tell it to your children.
Matzah,
Remember,
Matzah.
And drinking the wine.
No.
remember that we were slaves in Egypt.
You do that by telling the story. So
Okay.
we've got 2 of them. Matzah, Magid, and
Blessing.
you have to do the sacrifice and eat it with bitter herbs.
Oh,
You have to do the sacrifice, eat it with maror and matzah, and you have to tell the story. And you have to tell the story to who?
to your children.
Your children. Exactly. So all of the other stuff is rabbinic. It's not from the Torah. That doesn't matter to us, but it does matter to some people, and it does also mean that there are different traditions within Judaism that are not rabbinic, that do not do all of this. There are traditions where they have a meal which includes a lamb, they eat bitter herbs and matzah, and they tell the story, and that's all. So part of it is the 4 questions, which comes into the Magid. Is anybody not familiar? Is there anyone that isn't familiar with the 4 questions? Who would it be their first time hearing about the 4 questions? Has everyone sung them before?
I have.
People haven't?
I was always the youngest at every table I went to, no matter what. Even when I turned 55.
Right. So is there anyone that hasn't sung it before?
sung it?
I don't think I've
Yes.
sung it.
No.
I haven't sung
Okay,
it.
so the 4 questions are always sung at the Seder, and I'm going to stop.
Never heard
And
it.
I can't stop the full screen. Okay, so
Sing
bear with me a
song.
second. I'm just having a problem with my screen sharing.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Okay.
Now you're all
Obviously
going
one
to get
second.
homework.
We could go by whoever's youngest.
Oh no. Oh, well, it better not be me. I know that. Be really upset.
Okay. So can someone read number 1 in English?
Sure.
If one person reads the question and one person reads the answer.
Okay. Why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we eat either bread or matzah.
Oh, okay.
You were supposed
Yeah.
to.
Manishtana
Yeah.
halal has, oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Oh, you want me to continue saying that? No.
One person question, one person answer.
Oh,
Yes. Well, you could ask.
okay, we're on this night only matzah.
On all other nights, we eat ordinary vegetables.
And on this night we eat bitter herbs. Yeah.
Why on This night do we eat bitter herbs?
On all other nights, we do not dip our food.
And on this night, we dip twice.
Why on this night do we dip twice?
On all other nights, we do not recline at a feast.
There you go. Yeah. So I thought that it would be interesting for us to sing it. Is there anybody that's familiar with the tune?
Yes.
Well, there's probably several different melodies, so.
So there's a very, very, very popular melody.
Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot shebekol halelot anu oklin hametzu matzah halayla hazeh kulo matzah halayla hazeh kulo matzah.
Great.
You guys want to try that
So
one?
now somebody, now everyone needs to join in.
Guys, do you want to try it?
Someone else have a go?
Shebecho halelu ein anu matbilin afilu pa'am achat halayla hazeh shetef amim halayla hazeh shetef amim.
Right, you skipped number 2, so the next person can do number 2.
Shebekol halelot. Oh no.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Ma nishana halayla ze mikol halelot. Shebekol halelot. Anu hohin she'ar yirakot. Halayla ze maror. Halayla ze maror.
Great. And Luigi, you want to do number 4?
Actually, I can't.
No? Okay, so what else?
Want to all try it together?
I think it would be disaster.
Should we go off mute and do it together?
Go on then, yeah. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot shebechol halelot anu achlin ben yoshvinu ben mesubin halayla hazeh kulanu mesubim halayla hazeh kulanu mesubim. There you go.
Yay! Round of applause,
everyone. And now we'll see a professional singing it.
Hey everybody, today we are talking about the 4 questions, but actually it's really the 4 answers to one big question. Now traditionally the youngest person at the Seder does the 4 questions, but sometimes that's impossible because the youngest person at the Seder is a baby. Sometimes though, like me, the youngest person at the Seder is 30. Who knows? Anyways, no matter how old you are, we're going to run you through it so you can know exactly what this tradition is about. So the big question, why is this night different from all other nights? I'm going to tell you why right now. Number 1, on all other nights we eat all kinds of bread. Garlic bread, regular bread, cheesy bread, challah bread, but tonight we only eat matzah. Number 2, on all other nights, sure, we eat vegetables, but tonight we're eating bitter vegetables. Ugh. Number 3, On all other nights, we might dip foods once, but tonight, shtei fe'amim, we're dipping them twice. Finally, number 4. On all other nights, you might sit up straight, you might recline, but on this night, you are reclining. Like the royals, royals. So now you know, you got the whole thing figured out, but now it's time to hear this beautiful melody. You've probably heard it before, but we'll give it a roll. We'll see what happens. מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות. Here comes number 1. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה. Number 2, here we go. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים ירקות, ירקות. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. Number 3, here we go. שבכל הלילות אין אנו מטבילין אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה שתי פעמים. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה שתי פעמים. All right, last one, here we go. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבין ובין מסובין, בין יושבין ובין מסובין. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. And that, my friends, is the 4 questions. And now you really know that it's the 4 answers, but I'll keep that between you and me. Happy Pesach, y'all!
Okay, so now we move on to the plagues. So the first, can we do again the same thing of having people read 3 at a time?
Dom, go ahead.
Blood. All the water was changed to blood. Oh, Sephardia, frogs. An infestation of frogs sprang up in Egypt. Kinim, lice. The Egyptians were afflicted by lice.
Harov, wild animals, an infestation of wild animals, some say flies, sprang up in Egypt. Dever, pestilence, a plague killed off the Egyptian livestock. Shechin, boils, an epidemic of boils afflicted the Egyptians.
Barad, for hail. Hail rained from the sky. Arbe, for locusts. Locusts swarmed over Egypt. Chosech, darkness. Egypt was covered in darkness.
And Makat Bechorot, killing of the firstborn. All the firstborn sons of the Egyptians were slain by God. So do people know what there are 2 ways of marking the plagues in a Seder? Sephardim do it one way and Ashkenazim do it the other way. Does anybody know what the Ashkenazim do?
Take a drop of wine out, put it on their plate.
Could you repeat that?
Taking a drop of, dipping one's finger into the wine cup and taking out a drop for each plague.
Yeah, right.
Putting it on the plate.
Yeah, to diminish it. Yeah, it's diminishing the wine with the plagues, yeah. And does anyone know what Sephardim do? No? So what we do is we have a bowl of water in the middle, and then we pour a drop. All of us at once pour a drop into the water, as we say, dam, Sephardeya, kinim, like that. So everyone's pouring their wine into this bowl of water. So what's happening there? What does that look like?
The water's getting red.
Yeah, I think, was that David?
Yeah. Looks like it's turning to blood. Yeah.
Exactly. The river turns to blood. Yeah, exactly. And then at the end, so it's covered, and people are very, very careful not to touch the water, which has now turned into blood, which is infected with all of these plagues. And you take it outside and you throw it as far away from the house as possible. And then people say, may our enemies be destroyed. So that's the Sephardi tradition. And then people are quite superstitious about the bowl of the plagues as well. It's a little bit more dramatic than taking a drop out. It's actually quite dramatic. So I, and I think many people, do not do those plagues, but we replace them with other plagues. So can we do the same thing of people reading 3 at a time?
Hunger. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Hunger, Ra'av, war, Milchama, tyranny, Aritzut.
Greed, Betza'ah, bigotry, Kana'ut, injustice, Avel.
Poverty, Oni, ignorance, Barut, pollution, Zaham.
And indifference, Adishut. So I'll do breakout rooms again. And I'd like you to discuss for 5 minutes, which plagues would you include at your Seder? Okay, give me 1 second. How do I change them? Okay. Sorry.
Maybe we could just do it as a group.
That was really we edited, well, Phyllis had a few, she had several listed. She went through them very quickly. The 2 that I latched onto that I really liked were inaction. So not just indifference or ignorance, but inaction, even though you do care and do know. And animal cruelty was a big one for us.
Nice. Who was in your breakout room?
Mary and Phyllis. Or Lane. Okay, sorry, Lane and Phyllis.
Right.
Yeah.
Lane, yeah.
I really liked a Phyllis named Death by Suicide. And that struck me as something to think more about. It's taking an awful lot of people for reasons that they have, but it is something it seems like could be eradicated if there were will and resources put to it.
Obviously not the same as assisted dying. No, yeah. I don't know about in the United States, but in the UK, we don't use the term suicide anymore because it comes from a legal definition, like homicide, genocide, which is like murder. So it's kind of saying to murder yourself. Maybe that's just something to think about. I really like the idea of adding that as, you know, like a consequence of very poor mental health and eradicating that in that sense, the loss of life. Yeah.
I mean it by the legal term. We do have a legal term here called death by suicide. And so I meant it by the legal term, death by suicide.
Well,
it's just that the reason that we tend not to say it in mental health circles here is because the legal term, it defines it as a crime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you say there?
Loss of life due to mental health, or you know, lots of things that we, you know, death due to mental health, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I say legal, I just mean that because it's defined as a crime in the law, so that's why we don't. Yeah. But absolutely, the idea of eradicating that, I agree with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more?
Racism, anti-Semitism, neo-Nazism, homophobia, greed.
What was the second one after racism? What was the second one you said after racism?
Yeah, Nazism.
Anti-Semitism.
Oh, right.
Homophobia, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Intolerance, we had environmental degradation, apathy, and fear.
Wow, environmental degradation, apathy, and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quite a good list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone done a Seder and used their own list before?
Yes.
You have. The two Phyllises are both saying yes. Do you remember what you used?
No.
Does the other Phyllis?
Well, we basically were allowed to go around the room, and there were 10 of us at the Seder, so each person was allowed to say something that they thought was something today, modern.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing, that the 4 questions as well. Lots of people might sing the traditional 4 questions, but they might intersperse the whole Seder with 4 different questions. So sometimes I add questions at different points and get people to talk, and you know, it's not just reading the Seder, it's like the Haggadah, it's talking about these issues. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully we're giving people some ideas for their own Seders here. I will continue. It's slow to go through them. Here we go. Dayenu. Does anybody know what Dayenu means?
It would be enough.
It would be enough. Yeah. Dayenu is a song that we also sing at the Seder. And the traditional one goes like this: if he had brought us out of Egypt, it would be enough. If he had executed justice upon the Egyptians, it would be enough. If he had executed justice upon their gods, it would be enough, blah, 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 blah. And that's how it goes. And it's got quite, different communities have different tunes, but there's a very popular tune. Sorry. There's a very popular tune that goes to this, and it speeds up each time, and it goes. Does anybody want to just do the chorus? Does anybody know the chorus and want to just quickly do it?
Die, die, no, die, die, no, die, die, no, die, no, die, no, die, no.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And some Sephardim, including Italian Sephardim and also Ashkenazim in Italy, and also Italian non-Ashkenazi and non-Sephardi Jews, and Persian Jews and other communities do a sort of fun ritual of, while singing Dayenu, whipping each other with
leeks,
what we call leeks, or with spring onions, which I think in the United States they call scallions. 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 And it looks like this.
And he carried out justice against the Egyptians without vanquishing their gods. And he vanquished their gods without dividing the sea for us. Try not to hit the eye. And he divided the sea for us without leading us across on dry land. And he led us across on dry land without taking care of us for 40 years in the desert.
There you go. So I quite like that. I quite like that tradition, because at Pesach, it's not just sitting there reading. It's not just singing. It's lots of like little cute things that we do that is quite it uses your whole body, it uses your senses and all of these things. Can anybody guess why whipping? For those that don't know what that is, do you want to have a guess?
Slavery?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there are different versions, humanistic versions, because obviously we don't want to sing if he had just slain their firstborn, it would have been enough, blah blah blah. So there's a version which just has these first three. I added the other ones. So it goes, if we had our freedom, it is enough for us. If we have our happiness, it is enough for us. If we have our hope, it is enough for us. Then if we have our health, if we have our love, if we have our knowledge, if we have our strength, if we lived by all these values, it is enough. Is it enough? And the tune, which I want people to have a go at, and I'm going to get different people to sing it, because at Passover, at the Seder, lots of people are put in the position of singing in front of everyone, and it doesn't matter if you can sing well or not, just everyone needs to have a go, So, I mean, even I'm not a professional singer, so the first one goes, Im yesh lanu cherutenu, im yesh lanu cherutenu, im yesh lanu cherutenu, dayenu, 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 dayenu. And then each time it should get a little bit faster. So can we all unmute, just have a go at singing that with me? Im yesh lanu cherutenu, im yesh lanu cherutenu, im yesh lanu cherutenu, dayenu, 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 dayenu. And then somebody lead us in number 2.
Im yesh lanu simhatenu, im yesh lanu simhatenu, im yesh lanu simhatenu, dayenu, 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 dayenu.
Someone lead us in number 3.
Im yesh lanu tikvatenu, im yesh lanu tikvatenu, im yesh lanu tikvatenu, dayenu, dayenu,
dayenu. Get faster now, get faster. Next.
Im Yeslanu Bayutenu Im Yeslanu Bayutenu Im Yeslanu Bayutenu Dayenu
Imeshlanu afatenu, imeshlanu hafatenu, imeshlanu hafatenu dayenu. Imeshlanu kohenu, imeshlanu kohenu, imeshlanu kohenu dayenu.
Yay. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was almost as chaotic as a real life data. Right. Somebody's written something in the chat, but I can't read it at the moment.
Read it later.
Okay. Okay, so now we move on to Elijah. So can somebody read this for me?
Opening the door for Elijah originally expresses the fifth aspect of redemption, being brought into the land of Israel. Some believed that 5 cups should be drunk, but the rabbis determined that the matter should be left until Elijah comes. Elijah's arrival would precipitate the coming of the Messiah, at which time all questions will be resolved.
Thank you.
People came to relate this cup to the notion that Elijah will visit each Jewish home on Seder night as the foreshadowing of his future arrival at the end of the days, when he will come to announce the coming of the Messiah, and that the door is open for him to enter.
Many progressives, not believing in a literal Messiah, interpret this as a symbol of working together to repair the world. Tikkun Olam.
Oh, this one's already, sorry, yeah.
Open it.
Opening oh, go ahead.
No, it's already, there's a glitch, sorry. I don't know what happened there. It's gone back to the beginning for some reason. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, for the Elijah, sorry, there's a glitch on the PDF, not the PDF, on the presentation. I don't know why. So some people open the door towards the end of the Seder, but some people also like to do it near the beginning. Why do you think that might be?
Mm-hmm.
Give Elijah more time to come in, be with you.
Yeah. Also, when we open the door, we also welcome the stranger. So people do that at the time that they open the door for Elijah, but other people like to do that at the beginning because you're welcoming that person at the beginning of the Seder. So Elijah's cup and opening the door for Elijah also symbolizes letting the stranger in. And I don't know why it's doing this. So anyway, so we come to basically at this point, if we were doing a Seder, we would have been finishing it now. And then there is another song. It's a counting song.
Wow.
It's another song, which is a counting song called Echad Miyodea, one who knows one. And it goes, yeah. So what happens is somebody says in Hebrew, somebody says in Hebrew, Echad mi yodea, who knows one? And then the other person says, one, I know one. One is our God in heaven and on the earth. And then it goes, two, who knows two? And then somebody will say, two, I know two. And then they will say, two are the tablets of the covenant. One is our God in heaven and on the earth. But it goes on like that. Okay, so then it would be like three, who knows three are the fathers. Two are the blah, blah, blah. Two are the tablets. One is the... And it gets really complicated and really difficult. And but it's really fun because it's like a game that some families do it that you have assigned numbers, and some families do it so that you don't know what number is coming next. So you might go from 1 to 11, and then you have to sing all the way from 11 backwards. It's a bit like
12 Days of Christmas. 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that Christian song? Yeah, 12 Days of Christmas. Yeah,
awful.
Yeah. So it goes, but so then this is an adaptation in the humanist way. So it goes, one, who can answer one? One, I can answer one. One are our people in Israel and in the world. Two, hands in covenant. Three are the fathers. Four are the questions. Five are the books of Torah. Six are the Torah's mothers. 7 days for Shabbat. 8, the lights of Hanukkah. 9, the months of gestation. 10, in congregation. 11, stars in Joseph's dream. 12, tribes of ancestry. 13, possibilities.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then the tune, go on.
No, I was just thinking that Shafita did an uncomparable version on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, where she jokes about the fact that people don't remember half of them. Yeah. And so the original goes like this. So pay attention, because guess what's coming next?
So this is how we do in our family Echad Mi Yodea, and it's a Echad Mi Yodea tricky game, and we start with the Echad, with the youngest person in the household, and we are praying for years when we'll have at least 30 people to do the game, and I'm calling on the youngest person in our household these days, Avital. We're starting with her doing the Echad. Echad mi yodea, Echad ani yodat, Echad Eloheinu, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ, שניים מי יודע,
שניים אני יודע, שני לוחות הברית.
And people mute, please.
אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ, שלושה מי יודע, שלושה אני יודעת, שלושה אבות,
שני לוחות הברית.
אחד אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ, ארבעה מי יודע,
ארבע אני יודע, ארבע אמהות,
שלושה אבות,
שני לוחות הברית.
אחד אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ, חמישה מי יודע, חמישה אני יודעת, חמישה חומשי תורה,
ארבע אמהות,
שלושה אבות,
שני לוחות הברית.
אחד אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ, שישה מי יודע,
שישה אני יודע, שישה סדרי משנה,
חמישה חומשי תורה,
ארבע אמהות,
שלושה אבות,
שני לוחות הברית.
אחד אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ, כוכביה.
10 דבריה.
9 יחי לידה.
8 ימי מילה.
7 ימי שבתא.
6 סדרי משנה.
5 חומשי תורה.
4 אמהות.
3 אבות.
2 לוחות הברית.
1 אלוהינו.
אלוהינו, 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 שבשמיים ובארץ.
Oh, guess what's coming? So I thought that we would have a go at singing it in English. And we have 9 people. So a couple of us will have to take 2 of them. So who will take 1?
Who's our youngest person?
Yes, who's the youngest person? I believe that's Luigi.
I think Luigi left.
Yeah, Luigi.
Luigi had to leave. Yeah.
No, okay. So I'm 43.
I think I might
Anybody
be.
younger?
I'm 36.
Okay.
Here you go.
So it's you.
You got the treasure spot.
So who's taking 2?
I do not know the tune.
I don't either.
It's the tune that we just sang. It's the tune that you just heard.
I need the sheet music.
Yeah,
or a melody played behind it. I can sing along. I don't remember.
We will practice. Who's number 2?
Whoever said I don't know the tune, that's number 2.
That would be me.
Who is that? I can't see.
Shorter. A short one.
Who is it? Because I can't see who's speaking.
That's Lane.
Lane. Okay, cool. Who's taking 3?
Nobody speaks up. I'll take 3. That's Phyllis Wiggins.
Phyllis Wiggins, yeah. And 4?
I'll do it.
I can
Who
take
is that?
4. Gabby can take 4.
Gabby. Okay, number 5.
Phyllis White.
Number 6.
I'll do 6.
Who's that?
Janet.
Janet. Thank you. 7.
Paul and Betty Ann are being quiet. I think they should do 7.
Paula can do number 7, and Betty Ann can do number 8. And who's taking 9?
Yes, you are. No, I'm not.
Me? Did you say me? Yeah.
And David's over there laughing and being quiet. He should do 9.
No, he could do number 10, David. And who else is there?
That's all.
So who's taking 11? Gabby. I'm giving it to Gabby. Number 12. People need to be quick, otherwise they're going to get assigned. Number 12. Phyllis White. Phyllis Wiggins, sorry.
I'll try 12, yeah.
And 13 can be...
Martin DiMaggio.
No, I've already got... Because I'm going to do Who Knows. I'm going to do Who Knows. Yeah. Okay. So, let's have a go.
I got 12 and 3. Okay.
1. Who can answer 1? It needs to be only the person. It needs to be only the person.
I thought we were going to practice it.
Yeah, we are going to practice it. Yeah. So I'll do it first, and then you can practice. Yeah.
Okay.
1. Who can answer 1? 1. I can answer 1. 1 are our people in Israel and in the world and in the world and in the world and in the world and in the world. 1 are our people in the world.
Do not remember.
Go ahead. 1. Who can answer 1?
1. I can answer 1. Right? One,
Yes.
one,
One are our people in Israel and in the world. And in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. One are our people in the world. So let's go again. One. Who can answer one?
one. I can answer one. One is our people in Israel and in the world. And then what is it? What's next?
And in the world, and in the world,
And in
and
the
in the
world,
world,
and in
and
the
in
world,
the
and in the
world.
world, and in the world. One is
One are our people in the world.
in the world.
Great. Okay. Two. Who can answer two?
Two. I can answer two, I think. So do you do the same repetitions?
Yeah.
Like two hands in covenant, in covenant, in covenant. Two.
No. Two hands in covenant. One is our people in Israel and in the world. Yeah. So let's start again. Let's start again from the beginning. One. Who can answer one?
I should not have answered this. One, I can answer one. One is our people in Israel and in the world. In the world and in the world. And in the world and in the world. 4 times?
One is our people in the world. Two. Who can answer two?
Two. I can answer two. Two hands in covenant.
One is our people in the world. And in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. One is our people in the world.
Three. Who can answer three? Yeah.
Is that me? Three. I can answer three. Three is our fathers. Two are hands. One is our people.
Two hands in covenant.
Two are hands in covenant. One is our people in Israel and in the world and in the world and in the world and in the world
And in the world and in the world and in the world. One is our people in the world. Four. Who can answer four?
Four. I can answer four. Four are the questions. Three are the fathers. Two hands in covenants. One in our people in Israel and in the world and in the world and in the world. One is our people in the world.
Five. Who can answer five?
Five. I can answer five. Five are the books of Torah. Four are the questions. Three are the fathers. Two hands in covenant. One is our people in Israel and in the world. Enough.
In the world,
and in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. One is our people in the world. Six. Who can answer six?
Six. I can answer six. Six are the Torah's mothers. Five are the books of Torah. Four are the questions. Three are the fathers. Two hands in covenant. One. Who can answer one? One. I can answer one. One is our people in the world and in the world. One is our people in the world and in the world.
In the world. Seven. Who can answer seven?
I can answer seven. I can answer seven. 7 days for Shabbat. 6 are the Torah's mothers. 5 are the books of Torah. 4 are the questions. 3 are the fathers. 2 hands in covenant. One is our people in Israel and in the world and in the world.
In the world
And in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. One is our people in the world. 8. Who can answer 8?
8.
I can answer
8 is Betty.
8 the lights of Hanukkah.
7 days for Shabbat.
6
It's Betty Ann. It's Betty Ann.
mothers. 5 are the books of Torah. 4 are the questions. 3 are the fathers. 2 hands in covenant.
One is our people in Israel and in the world.
And in the world.
And in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. One is a people in the world. 9. I can answer 9. Sorry. 9. Who can answer 9? 9. I can answer 9. 9 the months of gestation. 8 the lights of Hanukkah. 7 days for Shabbat. 6 are the Torah's mothers. 5 the books of Torah. 4 are the questions. 3 are the fathers. 2 hands in covenant. 1 is our people in Israel and in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. 1 is our people in the world. 10. Who can answer 10?
10. I can answer 10. 10 in congregation, 9 the months of gestation, 8 the lights of Hanukkah, 7 days for Shabbat, 6 are the Torah's mothers, 5 are the books of Torah, 4 are the questions, 3 are the fathers, 2 hands in covenant, 1 is a people in Israel and in the world 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 and in the world. 1 is a people in the world.
11. Who can answer 11?
11. I can answer 11. 11 stars in Joseph's dream. 10 congregation. 9 the months of gestation. 8 the lights of Hanukkah. 7 days for Shabbat. 6 are the Torah's mothers. 5 are the books of Torah. 4 are the questions. 3 are the fathers. 2 hands in covenants. 1 is our people in Israel and in the world and in the world and in the world. 1 is our
people in the world. 12. Who can answer 12?
12. I can answer 12. 12 tribes of ancestry, 11 stars in Joseph's dream, 10 in congregation, 9 months of gestation, 8 the lights of Hanukkah, 7 days of Shabbat, 6 are the Torah's mothers, 5 are the books of Torah, 4 are the questions, 3 are the fathers, 2 hands in covenant, 1 is our people in Israel and in the world and in the world and in the world and in the world
and in the world and in the world. 1 is our people in the world. 13. Who can answer 13?
Nobody.
Lane, can you answer 13?
He's like, I'm not saying nothing.
Possibilities, 12 tribes of ancestry, 11 stars in Joseph, 10 in congregation, 9 the months of gestation, 8 the lights of Hanukkah, 7 days for Shabbat, 6 are the Torah's mothers, 5 are the books of Torah, 4 are the questions, 3 are the fathers, 2 hands in covenant, 1 is our people in Israel and in the world, in the world.
And in the world, and in the world, and in the world, and in the world. 1 is our people in the world.
Yeah. I think I know the tune-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you, everybody.
Definitely have to do that one at our Seder this year.
Yes, exactly. You see how it gets like easier as you get on. Actually, at the beginning, it's hard to get used to, but then you do. So I thought it would be nice to have some experience of some of the features of the Seder, and especially the fun bits. So that's me finished with what I'm presenting and doing, but I can stay and we can talk about it, and we can talk freely if you like. You can ask questions, whatever.
Right.
Gabby was dying to sing that whole song by herself.
Well, the thing is, I can't match your range. Whenever I went, it was either too high for me or too low for me.
Yeah,
I couldn't get it. But I've always loved the song because of the tune, of course. I never cared about the meaning because it was for me. But I remember also there was the Dayenu, not the Dayenu, the Haggadah. which is a bit the same. Gadya. Yeah, there are many, but many people here were singing. It sounded more like 12 Days of Christmas, the tune.
Really?
Yeah, some of the tune was sometimes, well, because you have to, I think one has to listen to it a bit to learn it. Yeah. But yeah, I suggest people listen to it a lot before trying it, to learn it. But you did it well, Phyllis. You know it. Yeah, you do. Don't downplay yourself. And also, you're already a chaplain. So,
thank you.
Adgadya is quite fun as well, actually. I'm just looking for a video.
That one's violent.
Sorry,
that one's
sorry, can you hear that?
It's malicious.
Well, it is.
Horrible.
I bought a little goat for to sing. Well, I know it in Spanish. Un cabrito, un cabrito.
You're chopping it up and you're killing it.
Yeah, well.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes like that basically.
Yeah, but innocent sounding little song, and it's not innocent.
No, I know.
No,
first time I actually understood those lyrics, I was horrified.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's another version of Echad Miyodea, which is quite good. But I'll just post it in the chat. Yeah.
Debbie Friedman wrote some great melodies for Pesach. You know, it'd be great to change her lyrics, you know, to fit her melodies, because they're great.
I got to go to camp with Debbie Friedman about 2 years before she passed away. She did camps here in Wisconsin at one of our reform camps here. And I got to spend some extended time with her. And it was just amazing the way she talked about her process and how she actually came up with lyrics and how she worked really hard to make sure that the lyrics reflected actually the wording reflected the actions and what they were intended to be in the Torah, you know, and how it wasn't just accidental, the words that she chose. It was amazing listening to her talk about that process.
I went to one of her seders in New York City one year. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
You know, the Havdalah tune is the very famous Havdalah tune is from her. Yeah. Yeah, la 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 la.
Yes, it's a beautiful tune.
Yeah.
And also her healing song kind of really.
Yeah. Yeah, she wrote a lot of very beautiful.
Very popular.
And if you ever went to one of her Shabbats at this camp, it was the most joyful thing you'd ever go to. She would come and she would bring this whole string of musicians with her. And I mean, I'd never gone to Shabbats like that outside the Chabad. And she was just, I mean, it would be popping and jumping, and you didn't want to stop. You'd do Shabbat all night long. You'd be exhausted Saturday morning because nobody went to bed. You'd just be up all night long playing music and jumping and dancing. It was amazing. It was just amazing. Awesome. It was like a music camp for adults. It was just amazing. I went to one of the very last ones. It was like 2 years later, and she passed away.
Anyone here not been to a Seder? I'm sorry. Well, I think we overlapped, me and someone, I don't know who.
Well, that's okay. I was waiting for somebody to see if anybody answered your question, but it looks like everybody's been to a Seder, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any of them? Were any of them? What was the difference between a good one and a bad one?
I only ever did one as a kid. Because my mom wasn't practicing, but she still wanted us to know what it was. So I use her Seder plate as a decoration in my kitchen now.
Oh, amazing.
So I have to get it down this year and actually use it.
Oh, nice.
Okay, a bad Seder is when some people are neurotic about what goes next and start fighting about this goes next, don't skip that, instead of enjoying the process. To start kind of like fighting over minutiae. No, this has to be that way. I think
yeah.
It's kind of like,
yeah, I was going to say that I've never been to a good Seder, including the ones I ran. So I found all of them from childhood on extraordinarily boring, irrelevant at best, just mind-numbing. I mean, to me, they're like torture. And especially what Gabrielle just said, the more traditional it was, the worse it was. Wow. The more they just insisted, and the more less personal, less relevant to the modern day, the worse it was. And the more they wouldn't skip things, the worse it was. But it didn't matter. Even the ones that I did, I found them all boring. Every single one. Just a matter of how boring it was. And so that's when you said, what is your narrow place? That was for me, I was like, oh, the answer is Seders. Because they're all like a narrow, it's just a matter of how bad it's going to be. But most of the time I just skip it. Most of the time I just don't even do it. For years and years, I just quit doing them.
I've found some great non-humanistic Seders, but now I wouldn't want to use them. I mean, the Santa Cruz Haggadah, there's Jewish Renewal Haggadah, there's Shalom Haggadah from Arthur Waskow, there's a feminist Haggadah, but now I really just want to do a humanistic one. And there's a bunch that the Society for Humanistic Judaism offers, and I don't know which one to order, or or just go ahead and just bring on a bunch of them and patchwork my own together, which I've done in the past. So,
well, I went to traditional ones. I went through the ones of the kibbutz movement, and I once bought Haggadah for a Buddhist Seder. I never got to use it, and now it's lost in Venezuela. I don't know if I'll ever use it. But the thing is, I don't live with people. I mean, where I am, it's just my mom and me, and I don't think I'll make some special food, and we already have the matzah and stuff like that, but I don't think we're going to do anything remotely, but just to have fun,
Where do you live again, Gabrielle?
I'm in the Dakotas right now, so you can imagine there's the nearest Jewish person is 300 miles away. So yeah, if I ever do something, it will be, I don't know, participate on something online, I guess. But yeah, it's I'm not going to say I'm the darkest person around, because also the Dakotas have Indian population and some immigrants and stuff like that. But where I am, it's 99.99% Christian of different denominations. I mean, 500 people in this town, and there's 5 churches. I kid you not.
There's 5 churches in my block. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
you don't want me to join, okay? I want that black Jewish girl. Okay, so
yeah. I see it. I mean, I was, yeah. I get it. I get it. But
so Martin and Paula and Betty Ann, do y'all have experience with any of the particular Haggadot from SHJ or from the movement?
Well, I was never able to receive one because it's $80 postage.
Oh wow!
And I'm not paying $80 for a Haggadah.
No.
But I did get sent a PDF by Rabbi Fadek that I just write. I write my own.
You are very prolific.
But I've had to do that because we didn't ever have a community in the UK.
Yeah.
So do you have a PDF? Do you have a PDF of one you can send us, or have you done that in the past? Or
yeah, I do.
But don't put it in the chat because I don't know how to. Like, it would be better if you could
put it in the chat.
Good. If you could just send it via email or put it on the Facebook page, that would be good.
Yeah.
Didn't you share one?
Yeah,
last
I thought I had.
Yeah, I thought you shared
Maybe
one last year. I think I have it saved in my drive.
Oh, I gotta look
yeah,
for it.
I'll put it now on the Facebook group.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I thought it got sent in the task on the syllabus. Did it not?
Oh,
I think
maybe
I think it is. I think it is on the syllabus.
Oh, sorry.
I read, yeah, because I read what you sent on the what you sent out. I read, it looked like a Seder, and I read it.
Oh well,
I
joined later, so yeah.
Okay, but I noticed a couple of spelling mistakes, so I'll post it in the group.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know when you've done it, and then you finish it, and then you make a PDF, and then you open the PDF, and then you see, oh, there's a spelling mistake.
Well, I have to say, go ahead.
No, well, I have been thinking for a while now that well, I mean, I've been Jewish my whole life, and I sometimes feel like we as Jews need to open up more to outsiders, so they can come and experience our rituals and culture, so that there's a better understanding, because I just feel like maybe we've been a little too insular in some ways, and because of our history, and because I noticed, for instance, there's this kind of progressive Muslim association called, I think, the Rumi Association or something, and there's a local group, and they're always having these like public events, like dinners and stuff. It's like multicultural, multi-religious, around some of the Muslim holidays, and it's just a really wonderful thing. And I think I'm going to really try and make an effort this year to invite or even have a Seder for like my Buddhist meditation group or something. Or
it makes sense. That makes sense. Pesach was a time when if anyone is hungry, come and eat with us. Was part of the Haggadah, at least of our Sidurim of the Haggadah. So it makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of community, and you can add in some stuff about individual. What is individual liberation? What is social liberation? Because Buddhist, what does it mean to be liberated?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, right.
I mean,
I think it's a good one it's an easy one to invite people and to be inclusive with if we choose. I also think, though, it's one that others have already tried to tape.
Appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate. I know where I live, there are so many non-Jewish seders that it ain't even Jewish no more to have a seder. It's just not Jewish. It's like there is nothing. If somebody invites you to a seder, you have to ask them, what kind of seder is this? Because everybody's doing seders. The Catholic Church is doing seders. The Lutheran churches are doing seders. Churches of God in Christ are doing seders. Everybody's doing seders. And you have to ask, whose seder is this? And what is the focus of your seder? Because there's actually one here called the African American Jewish Seder. And when you go to it, it ain't nothing Jewish about that Seder. Nothing.
Really?
I got called one year and asked to cook for it. And I was like, what? And when I got there, I mean, it was nothing Jewish about that Seder. Nothing. And they thought because they were inviting African American Jews to come and cook for it, that they could call it the African American Jewish Seder. I was like, oh, Lord, help me. You know, I was like, y'all gonna make me start praying to a deity I do not believe in, okay? There was just nothing Jewish about it.
Okay, no, that's.
But I agree that with opening the Seder to other people, because I always do that.
Mm-hmm.
All my adult life done that. And people generally really like it because we're talking about liberation. It was funny because one year somebody joined and she worked in like the fashion industry, and she was the friend of a friend. And when we said, what is it that restricts you in life? She said, I just have too many things. Like I just have too many nice clothes. And everyone looked at each other like, okay. Wish I had that problem. But yeah, like
first world problems.
like it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But then I had one friend that once said to me, I included him in one, and afterwards he said that it was uncomfortable because he felt like he was culturally appropriating.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, but you're not, because I've invited you and I'm including you, and I'm just like, I'm giving you, you're just reading in English, you're not, you know, not cultural appropriation, you know? Yeah.
Now, there's a song that I would add. It's in Hebrew, but it's. I mean, I think it's. I would add at the end. If I mean, about it's not about Elijah, but it's the Lo Yisagoy. The no people will raise a thing against other people and stuff like that. There are a couple of versions. There's even one that they added another thing, and even though some people think it's theistic, to me it's perfectly fine, and it's I think it's, I mean, it's as expression of hope of how we can build that. So Freeman, you're free.
I agree.
See you, David.
See you, David.
Bye, David.
Oh, bye, David.
Yep, he's gone. Well, thank you, Martin, for doing this. This has really been great.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sometimes I think I must be the weird humanist or something. I have never gone to a bad Seder. I've gone to some weird ones, but I've never gone to a bad Seder. But I really like the traditional stuff. I do. I like it when I go to the ones and they pull out all their traditions and they're lighting the candles at the right time and they're all crazy about it has to be the right time. And, you know, I had a friend that she passed away a few years ago, but she always invited me to her Seders. And she was a stickler for following the rules. I mean, the tablecloth had to be white, the juice had to be red, she had to cook the right dinner. And she had 2 Seders. She would always have 2. And she would invite certain people to the first one and certain people to the second one because certain people had to get along with certain people and certain people, you know, I mean, she was very meticulous about the whole thing. And I just really appreciated her ability to, you know, follow the rules and to just be willing, and she would accommodate everybody's diet. And I mean, it was amazing to watch her put that level of detail together, that level of attention, and in my opinion, that level of love into a Seder, you know, for her family and her friends. And she would have big parties, you know, and I admired that in her, to do that for her family, none of whom were very religious, but she was. And she just took great pride in being able to do that for her family and her community. So I just always had a lot of respect for people that will go that far. I would do it.
I agree. I agree. I've been to Seders that had like 36 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had to bring other tables and massive. Yeah. And this is the comic version of the Echad Miyodea, where they get up to about 5 and then somebody shouts out number 13 and then they're like, oh, we have to go all the way down now. And then if you notice, she's like saying something, who remembers, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then when they get to 5, that's when she knows them all. Can you hear it? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. אפשר אחד מי יודע אחד אני יודעת אחד אלוהינו 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 שבשמיים ובארץ ארבע מי יודע ארבע אני יודעת 4 אמהות 3 אבות 2 לוחות הברית אחד אלוהינו 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 שבשמיים ובארץ 7 מי יודע 7 אני יודעת 7 6 5 תורה 4 אמהות 3 אבות 2 לוחות הברית אחד אלוהינו 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 שבשמיים ובארץ 13 מי יודע 13 אני יודעת 13 מי זוכר 12 למי אכפת 11 מה זה משנה 10 מספר עגול 9 עבור 8 חשוב 7 6 רחרח 5 תורה 4 אמהות 3 אבות 2 לוחות הברית אחד אלוהינו 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 שבשמיים
I like that version.
Yeah.
She says no. Shut up.
That's how we do it at my house, I think. Skip to the end.
Thanks.
Right.
So Martin, I have this sort of, unrelated question, because you were saying last time that you kind of got turned on to humanistic Judaism when you were 20. And I'm just curious how many years ago that was.
23 years ago.
Okay.
He's a young man.
Yeah. Chicken. Yeah.
I just had a birthday Monday, so I can say that.
when you say you were 23 years ago, it doesn't feel like it doesn't make you feel like you're young.
You are.
Yeah.
Right now in this group, yep. I think Casey is our youngest.
So that was 16 years ago for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have got you to sing the Manishtana.
Manishtana.
That was Casey's job, really.
Yeah. It was.
I told you, when I showed up at a Seder at 55 and they told me I had to do the Manish Tana, I was not happy. Not happy. I just knew that was going to be the year I got out of it. Nope.
You know, I'm trying to decide how I'm going to do it this year. And because my husband's not Jewish and none of my friends are Jewish. So I'll be in charge, but I'm also the youngest of all of us. So
lots of
believe me, no matter what. I've been trying to decide which Haggadah to use because I kind of want to do traditional since I haven't done so as a kid, and I kind of want to make it my own. I kind of want to do secular humanist, but also I went and grabbed the book just now. I've had for years and have never used it. Dave Barry's take on the Haggadah. And so it's called "For This We Left Egypt: A Passover Haggadah for Jews and Those Who Love Them." With the quote at the bottom: "Three of the funniest people I've ever created." God, it's Dave Barry, Bible, and Adam Mansbach, and it's really funny.
Oh, I gotta check that out. Where do you live again, Casey?
I live in Williamsburg. Aren't you in Virginia too?
Yeah.
Philip? Yeah, I'm in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Like an hour east
that.
of Richmond.
Cool. Yeah, well, I grew up in Norfolk.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's an hour for me.
Cool. Oh my God.
But yeah, it's just really funny. And so I might just have to do multiple Seders this year because I can't decide. My husband loves to cook and he's been thinking for years, he's been wanting to do a Seder for years because he wants to do creative things for all the different foods.
Nice.
So he's not going to complain if I ask him to do multiple, and he can do a different theme each night. So I might do multiple.
Well, the tradition is at least two in the diaspora, so you're in good.
Yeah.
And some people do one on the last night as well. Yeah, that's
So that's three. Okay. Only
and then you have the Mimuna. The Mimuna is a Sephardic tradition of eating lots of known kosher Pesach sweets the day after. Yeah.
I can do
that. Yeah.
We've done that.
We've
done that for 3 years. Yeah.
It was fun. It's been a lot of fun. I like that one.
Yeah. I didn't catch the name of the Haggadah.
This one, For This We Left Egypt.
For This We Left Egypt. Thank you.
For This We Left Egypt?
Yeah. That's
it's like is a haroset? Is that the sweet one? On the cover here, it comments that it's Hebrew for quote sweet tasting cement. So
yeah.
And it's dedicated to. It says this book is dedicated to the Jewish people who have a great sense of humor. We hope.
Well, it's a very Jewish inflection. And for this one left Egypt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. David, is it David? No, Ben and Kira. 2 years ago, they did a Seder like tapas.
What?
Tapas.
Half.
Is like Spanish. No, tapas is like Spanish.
Yeah.
Tapas. Small plate. Small plate.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Like dishes like this.
Plates.
Yeah, and they had it as like a meal.
Full of tapas.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. I mean, you can as humanistic Jews, you can draw on whatever traditions you like from Judaism, from Jewish culture. Yeah. And from your own, if you have other cultures in your family and friends,
I think I shared last year. I found an Ethiopian Haggadah, so I like using that. I like taking that with me to any Seder I go to because it'll be different from any other Haggadah that's at the table. And people like to see it.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's awesome.
And also Samaritans and Karaites they just eat the lamb, the maror and the matzah, and tell the story. And I think that for Samaritans, they do the sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's also interesting because you can make, if unless you're vegetarian, obviously, or depends what you think about lamb, but you can make something and then eat it just with bitter herbs and matzah, and you could just tell a story about liberation, and that would fulfill the requirement according to the Torah in a way. Yeah, not that we need to fulfill the requirement, but if you wanted to make that tradition, you could do something like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
So Paul and Betty Ann, do you all have a Seder, or do you go to a Seder?
Yeah.
Well, we used to. I grew up, my one set of grandparents were conservative. And my father would run the Seder, and he'd emphasize the freedom aspect of it. And it was not too long. Then I didn't do anything for a long time. And Betty Ann got invited to a Seder or two growing up, but her parents didn't do anything. Then after my father died, I'm not sure. My mother may have stopped doing it, I think.
Yeah.
And then she ended up in a life care place. And they do Seders, 2 Seders there. She was there for long, 6 to 11 years. Although before that, she would go. She was going there like for 11 years. She after my father died, she got involved with a guy from our town, and he moved there, and she would visit him there. So she probably did that. We didn't do anything. So then we started going with her. Very traditional Seders. And so we did that for a number of years.
But
I'm
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, I was just going to say, but the one thing I do have a strong memory as a child, the Seder, I don't know. I may have gone more than once, but dear friends and neighbors who I grew up with were in the next apartment over, and they would. He was wonderful, Buddy, the father, and they would just invite into this little apartment, into their living room, all their relatives who I grew up this was in New York, and they had relatives throughout the city and close friends, and they would just have all these people. And he just ran a really loose, we were all just sort of sitting however we could sit in their living room. They set up whatever they could, and he would be in front of us sort of, and just, it was the most welcoming, warm, not at all, even I knew as a child, this was not really a traditional kind of Seder, but it was the most wonderful gathering. I mean, it had some traditional elements, I think. But that was really nice gathering. I remember being there with my parents. And
hey, Martin, what about an afikoman hunt for adults? We didn't talk about